You mentioned John Klingberg, placed on LTIR a couple days ago. What's the latest with him?
It's an unfortunate situation. I think that where we stand right now really is John Klingberg is deciding or not, obviously in consultation with the Leafs medical team and anyone else he leans on to have, a hip surgery that would basically end his season. At this point in time, as we're recording this, he hasn't elected for that surgery. And so things are a little bit in flux now. There's no rush here because he last played November 11th. He has to sit out at least 10 games and 24 days. So that takes you almost to mid-December before he's even eligible to come off LTIR. So, in the meantime, I think he continues to get treatment from the Leafs medical staff, obviously going through the process of deciding, what's best. Is he going to be able to just, get by with this treatment and maybe a little bit of rest time here and play again this season or not? And the reason this is a focal point is obviously if he gets the surgery and he's done for the year, well, then the Leafs have his $4.15 million in salary that they can now spend as LTIR money on another player or players, multiple. If he's going to come off and play again in mid-December, which, hasn't been ruled out, I think it's more than likely he's headed the surgery route. But again, until that happens, if he's, gets healthy enough to return, then the Leafs only have this short window now while he's sidelined to use that money. And so, I think that's kind of why this is getting focused on so much. I don't understand those though that are like drawing the sort of Robidas Island.
I was about to ask that. Yeah, a lot of people were doing that connection.
I think it's unfair, honestly. In fact, I know it's unfair. I mean, John Klingberg has been dealing with hip issues for years. He actually had double hip surgery this summer, right before he entered the NHL with the Dallas Stars. This is not a new issue. Obviously, it's got to a point now where the fact that surgery is even on the table, it's gotten worse. He took a hit in the game the Leafs played in Florida in October and just hasn't been quite the same since then. But this isn't a case of like the Leafs making someone go away. I think the truth is, in being around Klingberg a bit, like clearly he wants to play. Obviously, like he's, no one wants to undergo the kind of procedure he's facing. I think it's similar to what you've seen Jesse Puljujarvi, Patrick Kane, go through here. And there's a number of other players. I mean, hip injuries, it's like, unfortunately, it's extremely common now for players. If you see how many players have had these resurfacing procedures, but it's not something you want to go through. It's 6 to 8 months of recovery. I think it's a grueling recovery. And obviously in Klingberg's position, he's 31 years old and doesn't have a contract for next year. So it would definitely throw his career into a little bit of the unknown. Now, it might be that that's what he needs to get done to even have a chance to play at the kind of level he wants to again. I mean, that's, I'm sure what everyone's triangulating behind the scenes, but I don't think there's anything remotely fishy about this one. I mean, if you watched him play, the guy can't skate. He can't move. I mean, when he was at his best, what made him a 50-point defenseman for years and years and years with the Stars was he skated so well, right? He distributed the puck well, and he was a great skater. I mean, he has no mobility now. And this is something he has dealt with in the past. He's been managing. I know last year in Anaheim, it was something that he had to manage on an ongoing basis and was obviously hoping to do so again here in Toronto. It just hasn't happened. And that's kind of how we are where we are. But yeah, I just think I get it. In some respects, it was almost a meme back in the day, right? First of all, that was 2 GMs ago. It was Lou Lamoriello came in. Everyone knew the Leafs were sort of going through a tank/rebuild or whatever you want to call it. Some of the players like Stefan Robida at the time, Joffrey Lupul, were put on LTIR and kind of made to disappear. I will point out, neither of those players played again in the NHL anywhere else, though. Like, it wasn't as though the Leafs have this long history of putting players on LTIR who surface somewhere else. I mean, for the most part, we're talking about guys whose careers are over. I'm not predicting that here for Klingberg, but obviously if he goes through a surgery that doesn't allow him to play this season, I don't think there's anything untoward happening, as much as all the conspiracy theorists and Twitter haters might want to make it so.